Who decided that getting into espresso has to cost a fortune? Because in the espresso world, sometimes it feels like you need a $3,000 setup to pull anything drinkable. And I'll admit it, I've always kind of hated that idea. So today, we're looking at a machine that pushes back on that, the Casabrews Ultra. It's a budget espresso machine that has a lot to offer. Hi, I'm Colin and you're watching Cafe Lista. So let's start with the design and the build quality. And here's the key thing to keep in mind the whole way through. You always have to judge, I think, this machine against its price. This is not a premium machine. You can feel the compromises here. The drip tray is fine, but it moves a little bit. The portafilter is a proper 58mm, which is a real plus. We'll talk about it later. But the handle feels a little bit light, a little bit plastic. The temper is actually not bad at all for a machine that price. You can really start and do pretty good things with it. So again, for the price, the pack here is quite strong. You get the machine, the portafilter, pressurized basket, non-pressurized basket, and the basic accessories, everything you need. So what's mainly missing is the milk pitcher. So if you want cappuccino or lattes, yes, you will need to add that one. But except that, you really have everything you need to start making good coffee. You can start with the pressurized basket, which are more forgiving if your grind isn't perfect. Then, once you've got a real espresso grinder, you can move to the non-pressurized basket and actually start dialing in your extraction. Another good point is the screen. It's readable, it's clear, and the navigation is simple. You instantly know where you are. It's easy, single, double shot, steam, hot water, and then you will need the manual to go in the settings where you can adjust the temperature, the volume in the cup, but once it's done, that's okay, you don't need that again. Something interesting, the machine heats up pretty fast. It switches also from brewing to steam pretty quickly, and on hot water is also available through the steam wand, which is a nice plus. On the setting side, you can change the temperature across 4 levels, and you can adjust the in-cup volume also using the timer, which is genuinely handy. So once your espresso is dialed in, you just have pretty much to press one button and you have your coffee. One heads up though, there is a slight lag between the moment you press stop and the moment the flow actually stops. So pull your cup at the right time, otherwise you might have a little bit too much water. Now let's talk about what actually counts, the extraction, the quality of our espresso. And for the price, this genuinely again surprised me. So yes, with the right coffee, a good grind, and above all a good grinder that goes together, the Casabrews Ultra can pull a really interesting espresso. It's not just a strong coffee with a fake pressurized crema. I'm talking here about an espresso with body, good crema, a clean extraction, and the result in the cup that makes you want to keep tweaking and improving your extraction. Yes, the machine has some limitation, but it's pretty good. But here's the catch, and it's quite important to remember, the grinder. The machine itself doesn't do magic. If you use pre-ground supermarket coffee that was ground months ago, especially on a non-pressurized basket, you're going to be disappointed. You probably know that in espresso, the grind is everything. So the good news is that today there are budget grinder options that will go well with this machine. But let me be clear, if you buy this machine, keep part of your budget for the grinder. Bottom line, a very good extraction, once again relative to the price of the machine. And by the way, if you're starting out and you want to understand what to change when your espresso is too sour, too bitter, too fast, or too slow, I put together a free espresso guide. The link is in the description. Feel free to go check it out. One of the big advantages of the Casabrews Ultra is the 58mm portafilter. I mentioned it in the intro. So now careful, 58 doesn't actually mean better coffee, but it means you're stepping into a much more standard ecosystem. You get far more options for accessories, temper, baskets, distribution tools, a bottomless portafilter, and so on. For a machine in this price range, it's a real plus, and it's also part of why it could grow with you. Let's talk now about the steam wand. It works. Yes, you can texture milk, you can make cappuccino, a latte, a cortado. The switch to the steam is fairly quick for a machine at that price, so it's nice. Yes, it's not a switch, it's just a button. Personally, I'm not a big fan of that, but again, for a machine in that price range, it's pretty normal. I wouldn't sell this machine as the perfect pick for someone who wants to pull latte art every morning. On this type of machine, the steam is in a compromise zone. You have to find sometimes the right angle, and it's not super fast. So don't expect the power and the consistency of a high hand machine. My verdict on the milk, this is more than acceptable. The one positioning isn't the easiest, that's normal for this kind of machine, but it is quite capable. And if this video is helping you to make sense of this machine, if you learn a few things, please drop a like, and why not subscribe to the channel? That could really help us and support us to make more video like that. Thanks for your support. A quick practical note, you also get hot water through the steam wand. It's not the most convenient system. If you also use the one for milk, you will need to purge and clean, of course, and it's not as comfortable as a dedicated hot water spout, but it works. For an Americano, for example, you pull your espresso, top it with hot water, that's done. Not exactly elegant, at that price, a useful function to have. Now let's talk about a few limits, because this is where the recommendation really matters. So first limit is the build. At that price, it's still very good, I think, but don't buy this machine expecting something ultra heavy, ultra repairable that you will keep for 15 years without a second thought. And the real question on this kind of machine also is the durability. Will it last 3-5 years? Will the part be easy to find? Will repairability be good? This is questions that are hard to answer. We just don't have the same track record here with brands that have been around for a very long time. That doesn't mean the machine is going to break, it just means that if your number one priority is repairability, a well-established service network, or a very long-term purchase, well, that's something to keep in mind. So, does a good espresso have to be expensive? Well, for me, no. But a good espresso still requires making the right choices. And the Casabrews Ultra show something is important here. Today, you can start espresso seriously without spending $1,000. You can get real results with a reasonable setup, you just have to accept a few limits. So for me, the Ultra isn't a perfect machine, but if you want to start espresso on a tight budget and still get a machine that can evolve and grow, it's a really interesting option. Maybe one of the best small budget option right now. Don't forget to leave a like if you appreciate the video, and don't leave yet the one appearing here, I'm sure might interest you. And I'm curious, do you think you can make genuinely good espresso on a budget machine, or do you believe you have to move up the range and the ladder and get something more expensive? As always, I hope you'll have a good week. I'll see you soon on Cafe Lista. Ciao.